Welcome to a new episode of World Stories. We'll be taking you on an exciting journey all over the world, full of very strange fun facts and stories. In our journey this week, we'll explore together the historic restored ruins of Amarat of the traditional market along Bahrain's unique pearling path. We'll take you to Gaza to see how skateboarding can change lives. Heard of the Queen of the Sea? Want to know who calls her so? Come with us to Brazil. This and much more exciting stories in a journey around the world. Fasten your seatbelts. The Pearling Path, testimony of an island economy, is the second cultural landmark in Bahrain inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site after Bahrain Fort. It stretched over 3.5 kilometers that snake through the alleys of Muharraq. Along the Pearling Path is the visitor center, constructed, incorporated with great harmony with the ruins of Amarat of the traditional market, such as Yusuf Fakhro, a historic Amarat structure built in the 1930s, as well as Amarat Al Doi. Excited to discover them. Let's go. We're here in the heart of Muharraq, Bahrain's former capital, particularly at this beautiful site, Pearling, a testimony of an island economy, which relates to the unique legacy of Bahrain's pearling era. And now we'll see some beautiful architecture. Let's go take a look at this site. We're now here at the Pearling Path, a source of pride to every Bahraini. We have with us here Fatma, a proud Bahraini. She'll tell us what she thinks about it.
So thank you, Hiba, for having me. We're very proud as Bahrainis to have the Pearling Path route. As you already know, it's part of our heritage, and we're very excited that it's the second UNESCO Heritage Site in Bahrain. And I think it's a testimony of how the Kingdom of Bahrain preserves its culture and its history through the many houses that any Bahraini or any expat can go and visit and learn more about this great heritage that we have.
What have you visited so far? What houses have you visited?
So I visited obviously we're in the visitor center now, which is, as you can see, one of the major landmarks in the Kingdom of Bahrain. We've also visited the Abu Maher Fort, which is a quick trip that you can take from the National Museum, a boat ride actually, which is always fun to do. To the fort, and where you can see where the pearls were actually, how the pearling industry was monitored, and you can also visit the other visitor center in Abu Maher Fort in itself. We've also visited the number of houses, which is Fakhro House and Siyadi House, which is also a testament to what Bahrain has in terms of culture and history, and how since the 1930s we've been proud of the heritage of pearls in the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Since we're here at the Pearling Path, what do pearls mean to Bahrainis, and what does the pearling industry mean to Bahrain?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Hiba. As you know that we've been trying for the past few years to revive the pearling industry in Bahrain because it is so important to Bahrainis, and it's part of our heritage and who we are. So we are currently in one of the biggest landmarks in Bahrain that is a testament to what pearls mean to Bahrainis, but we're also trying to achieve or trying to send a consistent message on what pearls mean to Bahrainis. As you know, we're reviving it through tourism. We have eco-tourism initiatives that are going around the kingdom. We have one of the top laboratories in the world that examine pearls, which is Danat. And of course, to package it in a beautiful way, we also have the Culture and Antiquities Authority, who are reviving it in their own way where they can show Bahrainis, or actually remind Bahrainis of what it means to be part of Bahrain and what it means to be proud of being part of a bigger landscape of the pearl industry.
I can see your eyes sparkling when you talk about pearls. We have with us here a group of tourists visiting the Pearling Path. I'll have a chat now with Peter. He's from Britain, and he'll tell us what he thinks about the Pearling Path.
It's very good, yes. I mean, I haven't been here before. It's quite new, I understand. And yeah, it's a wonderful representation of the older parts of Bahrain with the date presses for the dibs and wonderful modern architecture. It's excellent, yeah, really good.
So as an engineer, I want your view. What do you think about it?
I think it's a wonderful marrying of old building structures with very modern architecture. I think it's very clever. It's very clever. Yeah, I like it.
We have with us here Dalia from the cultural mission initiated by Bahrain Authority for Culture and Antiquities. She knows a lot of secrets and of course knowledge about this beautiful place and will share with us its story. Hello Dalia.
Hi, so today we are in the Pearling Path Visitor Center that was inaugurated in November 2018, so it's fairly new. And one of the most important values about this place is that it's actually surrounded by historical artifacts that have been here for hundreds of years. And one of the most important artifacts is Amarat Yusuf Fakhru that we can see on the entirety of this area. We can see a lot of artifacts such as madabis, we can see the actual amarat. And amara is a Bahraini term that actually means storage house. And so back in the day they would store materials, they would store construction materials as an example, food items and such. So the first thing I will show you is the madbisa that is right here. And a madbisa is basically a date syrup production facility. And the way they work is that they would build a room that has absolutely no ventilation, and they would stack baskets of syrup all the way up until the roof, and they would build the floor level to be kind of slanted. And so the circumstances of the room would allow the syrup to actually come out slowly, and then it would gather in a pot at the end. And so if you're wondering, date syrup was very important to Bahrainis back in the day because it was one of the main food sources, even for the divers. They used to take it with them because they used to be gone for 6 months. And so it was a nutritious food source. Sometimes they would use it as a sugar substitute in tea, in coffee, and even food recipes. They also used to use it as a substitute for cash. So as they trade items, they would use it as a currency. They would also sometimes use it if they would like to pay zakah, which is one of the important deeds in Islam.
That's awesome. Even barter system.
So as you can see here, these are the date baskets that are still kept here since hundreds of years. And you could see the structure of the actual madbasa here. And sometimes you could see traces of the date syrup that is on the tunnels. And if you go close enough to the baskets, sometimes you can actually smell the dates. It's really cool.
Let's go smell the dates. Yeah, let's go smell the dates. I can't believe that those date baskets have been here for hundreds of years now, and we can still smell the scent of dates. That's super awesome. Let's talk a bit about the building techniques of this place. I haven't seen a wall like this in my life, ever. I see a combination of stones and wood and ropes in different directions. This is mind-blowing. So please tell me, I'm very curious, why did they use this technique? What's the point?
It actually is very mind-blowing. This is actually a construction technique that Bahrainis have developed. And as you can see, they would integrate mud and mostly coral stones because they were very easy to obtain since they were next to the seashore. They also would integrate mangrove as they started to realize that this construction technique keeps the walls and the buildings as sturdy as possible. And then as time moved on, they realized that wrapping rope around these mangroves keeps them together, keeps the mud, the coral stone, the wood, and the rope all together in one harmony that keeps the wall very, very sturdy. And as you can see, it's still standing to this day.
Oh, wow, very impressive.
So we're in a more advanced stage right now where they started to integrate more and more of the construction techniques that I have mentioned earlier with the coral stones and the mont groove and the rope. So as they started to integrate it more and more, you can see that the columns and the buildings are more intact and less ruined. This place was directly related to pearling because basically the seashore would extend more and more due to land reclamation techniques that they used to use. And so closer to the seashore, you'd have the storage units that would have items that are related to pearling, such as wood, because they would build wooden boats. They would have construction material. And so every single area in this place is related to pearling in a way. So ships would come to get their maintenance, they would get their ships fixed. This is where the cruise ships would take off for the pearl dives that extend to 6 months.
I see this area is more developed. It looks different. It's more developed than the areas that we've been before and much more restored.
Yes, this is an even more advanced area from the reclamation process. And as you can see here, they have developed ceilings and shading systems that would basically protect whatever produce that would be inside the storage units. Sometimes they would even use these to have livestock.
I see this place is even more developed. It's more intact.
It is basically, you can say, the last stage of the land reclamation, and it is the most intact and the most advanced because you would see the most intact ceiling and basically the best shading system out of all the other storage units. Even the walls are even more thicker. It looks more complete.
And what is this interesting piece? What is it doing here?
This piece was specifically built for a certain function. So the seashore stopped here back in the day, and this is where the sea would be. So they built this small piece out of coral stones, mud, and wood as well. So they would stop the water from basically getting inside or from exceeding a certain level.
Okay, that's amazing. So I can't imagine this was the sea?
One of the questions that the visitors asked me is that why is this area different than the other area? And I have to explain to them that this Amara belonged to a different family, which is the Doi family, and this is why you could see that the architecture, the roofing, the ceiling is all completely different from the other Amara.
But they were both discovered together?
They were both discovered together. They were both functioning together at the time. Same timing, same business basically, just a little bit of rivals. Not really rivalry, but they were different traders.
But they were discovered very recently, 2011.
We did not know it existed before because it was buried under a lot of debris and it basically had to be dug up, and they found the merchandise, and through the merchandise that they found, they could specify the function of each and every Amara.
Thank you, Dalia. You've been giving us a lot of wonderful information about this beautiful place. Let's finalize this with your advice to visitors coming to this place.
My advice to visitors would be to pay attention to the contrast between the old and the new, because in one site you could see the old columns and the old construction methods with the coral stones and the mud and the mont groove, and then in a split second you could see the modern 9-meter long columns and the gigantic canopy that protects all the historical artifacts. So I think it's a beautiful view to see the contrast between the old and the new.
Thank you very much, Dalia. We have with us here Alison. She was visiting the Pearling Path and some unique houses in Bahrain. She'll share with us her experience.
Hi. Well, this is new to us. We've lived here for 10 years, but we went away for a year and have just come back. And what we find is this magnificent pearling exhibition and UNESCO site, I believe, too. So that's wonderful. And of course, all of these houses that are being renovated. And we've just come from the new souk area, which is beautiful as well. And watching the builders redoing the old buildings, and it looked like they were sticking bits of coral into the walls to make it look authentic. So we walked from the house right up at the top, and we've had a look at that, and we were just going to walk around the corner here and head up towards some of the other houses that have been renovated, which were always so beautiful, and also try and have a cup of coffee. And there's a cafe somewhere around here that we'll find, and in there they have a glass floor, and underneath it they have a lot of artefacts and things to look at. So it's a very special area, and it's so lovely to have seen it come to life like this. And I'm wondering, with the Pearl Museum, which is on the beach, where you can come from the museum over by boat to the Pearling Museum, whether or not this walk will continue to here. So that might be something else to look forward to too. So lovely morning. Yeah.
I'm very glad you're enjoying your time. So what was your impression when you first saw this pearling exhibition?
Spectacular, wow. I saw it from the street and I thought, what is that? But it really is amazing.
From Bahrain to Gaza, where a growing number of young Palestinian women are learning to skateboard. That's an example of how sports can change lives and build bridges between countries and cultures. The brave Palestinian women are being trained by Italians who say they are trying to link besieged Gaza to the world. Skateboarding is not common among women in Gaza. Here by the Fisherman's Harbour in the besieged city, several girls cautiously push their skateboards as crowds watch and cheer. The war-torn territory once had only a handful of skateboarders, but nowadays dozens of young people excel in riding the boards. They are being encouraged and trained by a group of Italian skateboarders and activists through the Gaza-based Italian Center for Cultural Exchange. Concrete ramps were built specially for the growing number of players. Hundreds gathered to either watch or participate in the graduation ceremony of a new group of skateboarders.
We work in skateboard. This year we also bring two skateboarders that are girls, and so this year we started to give lessons also to girls on skateboards. Especially our group, is working with women with workshops.
The more we learn, the more we realize how little we know about the world. Let's explore some interesting and entertaining facts to twist your brain and tickle your curiosity. This is the largest blooming flower in the world, Rafflesia arnoldi. It's amazing how it can grow to be 3 feet across and weigh up to 15 pounds. And unlike all flowers, this one really stinks. It has a strong odor of decaying flesh, earning it the nickname corpse flower. So if you ever see it, remember not to smell it and don't say no one warned you. British military tanks are equipped to make tea. This is a boiling vessel inside, so the crew can make tea and coffee at any time, including during battle. Typically English, right? Ethiopia lives 7 years behind the rest of the world. Yes, they're still in the year 2012. And the reason behind this is that Ethiopia follows the Coptic calendar that has 13 months, which is quite different from the Gregorian calendar that most of the world follows. Meet the porcupine fish, a fish with the ability of inflating its body to almost double its size. How? By swallowing water or air. This is one of its natural mechanisms to keep predators away, especially with the long, sharp spines that stand out when the fish inflates its body. part of the Queen of the Sea. Worshippers of the sea goddess Yemanja gathered in Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro to honor her. The followers of Brazil's Afro-Brazilian Candomblé and Umbanda faiths were singing, playing drums and dancing. Mostly dressed in white, some worshippers launched their offerings to the sea. Many carried in small boats with flowers and bowls with candles, fruits, perfume and some drinks. Devotees thanked Yemanja for 2019 and hoped for peace. Candomblé was brought to Brazil by West African slaves at the beginning of the 19th century. Umbanda is an Afro-Brazilian religion that blends African traditions with Roman Catholicism and indigenous American beliefs. Dress Up Your Pet Day is here, a light-hearted celebration for parents of full-elect babies to play dress up. Whether it's a fancy dress, a warm jacket, or yes, an adorable costume, it's your day to celebrate your impeccable fashion sense. Check out what we got you from social media. With this, we have arrived at our last station. Goodbye and see you next week with new facts, journeys, and world stories.